Hi Flosstube, I'm the Blue Box Stitcher and this is my Flosstube channel. It's my channel where I talk about cross stitch and sometimes the things that I'm reading and playing. Cross stitch is pretty much the only craft I do. I had a bug to try knitting a while ago. We'll see about that. So cross stitch is my main hobby and I love it. So it's been a hot minute since my last Flosstube. The last one I did was roughly like the beginning of June, I think. And then I did a whip parade at the end of June, but I haven't done a Flosstube in like 2 months. And some life stuff's been going on. I don't normally do like life updates, but I might put a little one at the end. But yeah, we have a lot to get into. What I've decided to do is I'm just going to show you all the things that I worked on in July, because you did see my June progress in my whip parade, and I feel like if you watch this channel, you probably watched my whip parade. So that's that. So my first, however, I do have 2 things that I didn't show in my whip parade, which is very exciting. My first one is a pretty big one. And it is The Sea and the Shore by the Blue Flower, who's becoming basically my favorite artist. And this is what I have so far. Okay, let's talk about it. This is huge. This is like 20,000 stitches, and the story here is I saw it and I was like, I'm obsessed. I love the beach. I love going to the beach with my family. I've been going to the same beach with my family since I was a kid. My mom grew up going there, and my godmother actually has a house there. And obviously, like, we always try to be like super appreciative that we can stay in her house and all that. She's actually the woman that I was named after. The house came later. And I've always thought like it would be so nice to stitch something that she could put in the beach house, because she is a needle pointer. So we talk about our crafts a lot. And, you know, if you're in the stitch world, then you probably know that there's like beef between cross stitchers and needle pointers, because like people think they're the same craft and they're not. They're very different. And so we like to rag each other all the time about it. So I was like, I want to stitch something. So I saw this and I was like, this is perfect. This is what I want to stitch. This is everything I need. Bought the pattern, literally sent a picture to my aunt and was like, I'm doing this. And then I put it into Markup RXP. And I got that stitch count. And I said, okay, I'm gonna give it to you in 3 years. So I started it like the weekend of July 4th, because my family went up to the beach for the 4th with her, which was really exciting. And this is where I got. This is, I think, like 400 stitches. In total, I think it's more. Yeah, I think it's like 500 stitches in total. However, those of you with keen eyes might notice this border right here, wrong color. So I started on the border and I was meticulous. Okay, thin borders like this are so hard because you don't have any anchor points and you don't really, I mean, it's just like a 1 stitch border. You can like kind of see through the fabric because of the way the light's coming in, but generally like you can't. Yeah, it's being stitched on 16 count Witchell Ada in pewter. I was a little bit nervous about the Witchell. I know a lot of people don't like Witchell linen because it's really stiff, and I don't personally love stiff fabric either. However, because this is Ada, I'm wondering if it's like not that big of a difference, because Ada is a little bit stiffer in general. It's not like, you know, it doesn't feel hand dyed. Like, it's not the softest, but it's not uncomfortable to work in. And honestly, I'll show you guys the flaw. Well, okay, let's finish the border thing first. The border's in the wrong color because I love the Blue Flower, but I don't understand this choice. On the pattern, there's 2 like dash symbols, a thin one and a thick one. And I didn't realize that. So the thin one is this beautiful pearly white color. The thick one is a dark green, and it's supposed to be dark green. And I was so confused. I was so flummoxed. I actually DM'd the blue flower on Instagram, and she was so kind, and she got back to me and was like, there's 2 dashes. I was like, yikes. That's on me, babe. So actually the octopus is like the only thing that is staying. However, because these are so finicky and I put so much time into it, triple counting, I decided that I'm gonna leave the white for now. I'm taking it out, like I'm gonna replace it. I'm gonna frog it, but I'm leaving the white for now and I'm gonna stitch around it so that way I have more of an anchor point when I do eventually frog this. Instead of having to just like count square by square, I can count off the octopus, and then this is like fully filled in right here, and so I'm gonna fill it in, and then that way I like literally can just outline it, and it'll be way easier to redo this portion of the border. So right now we just have Hank the octopus. Yeah, I named him. I'm gonna name all of these guys. I'm obsessed. Also, the only thing, literally nothing on this is right, but the octopus is intentionally wrong. In the pattern, it calls for like a gray variegated. No. My octopus is gonna be orange. Gray is not fun. So it's something like Clove by Gentle Art. It's super, it's really beautiful. I love the like subtle variegation. I have all the clove in, and then I need to fill in the rest of the octopus to finish him, Hank. And I'm really excited. Definitely gonna shout out to my Instagram. It's also the Blue Box Stitcher. I post periodic updates on there, as well as a lot of memes about crashing out. The summer, not a summer girly. And Hank will definitely be going on my Instagram when he's finished. So if you want to, you can take a look there. Let me show you, I got, it's on the ground. I did get a special bag for this project because it's very special to me and it's huge. Look at these flosses, okay? Kitting this up was an adventure. This is why, and it's not fully kitted up. I have all of the DMC still. And what I did was, so I went to my local needlework store in my hometown because I was home, and it's called In Stitches in Alexandria, Virginia, and it's honestly amazing. They have crazy hours. It's open like 10 to 3. Guess we're all going on our lunch break, but I was on vacation, so it was fine. And I got these like floss cards, and I literally put all of the floss on. Like, look at this. This is so beautiful. And then you can see, I'll put you in close. What I ended up doing was I actually put the symbol instead of the name of the flosses on the cards, except for there's like a few spots where I'm going to change the well, so I did do a floss conversion, like an overall floss conversion. I'm not gonna put it on my Instagram because I'm not like confident in my converting skills. This is the first floss conversion I've done, but basically the pattern started in DMC, General Art, Classic Colorwork, and Weeks Dye Works. Yeah, she's a big boy, and I don't want to stitch with Weeks. I have no desire to. I heard that they shred really fast, which would drive me bananas, and 2, they had this color Confederate Gray. I guess they've changed it by now, but like, girl, why would you name it that in the first place? I have like no interest in that weird like antebellum Civil War. It's just history, blah blah blah. So not gonna use Weeks. If you use Weeks, that's fine. It's not, you know, life or death here, but I personally don't want to. So what I did was I went to In Stitches, and they have an entire wall, and it's just Classic Colorworks, General Art, Weeks Dye Works. So what I did was I picked the color of Weeks Dye Works that the pattern asked for, and then I just took it to the other two sections and found the best match. So my conversion is like true to what the blue flower wanted. And I would say I did a pretty good job, to be honest. Did I write them all down? No. So then when I was putting them on the flashcards, I had to like go back and be like, which one did I mean this for? But particularly because of that, that's why also like I did just the symbols instead of the names. But having the symbols like this is really nice when you're doing the pattern because you just don't even have to think about it. So that's like the conversion that I did. And then there are a couple spots where I'm like actually changing the color. So like Hank the octopus, and then there's a mermaid on the other side that I think I'm gonna turn. Originally I was like, I think I was gonna use this color for her tail, which I might still. Everything is coming off a little bit darker than I would like it to, because it's kind of a dark and gloomy day, but this is the day that I had for filming, so this is what we're doing. I might still use it. Well, I don't know. I was gonna use this for her tail, but the beach that I go to, it's called Funland. I'm gonna put up a picture of, basically they have this ride, this like boat ride that you can go on where you just go in a little circle that I was obsessed with as a kid, and they have a mermaid and she's green. And I want to make the mermaid green like her. I think that would be super cute. But I only had that idea after I bought all the flosses, so rip that. And then I think like the whale is supposed to be like, it looks blue in the photo, but then it's more of like black when you look at the flosses. So I think this is gonna be like my whale color when I get to that in like 2 years. Which is just like a very cool toned dark blue. Yeah. These things are great. I literally just got it. I don't know, like it's kolarova.com it says on it, but I bought it from InStitches, so I don't like know what the website is or the deal or anything like that. Oh, and also the bag is Garden Grove Stitchery, who I hadn't heard of before, but they had free shipping. Yeah, so it's my mermaid bag, and it's really the only project bag that I've bought for like a specific project. I have 3 others. My projects are like all over the place right now though, so they're not really organized like that. Actually, I'm gonna leave her out because Hank's getting done this week. So, one last look. The sea and the shore. I love her. That was my big start, and it was sort of unplanned. It was not in my plans. I have like thought about my plans a lot, which I might go over at the end too. The next one you've seen, but I have gotten, the next one hasn't been in a Flosstube, but it was in my Whip Parade, and I have gotten some more progress on it, and it is Strawberry Moon by StayPlatinumStitchery. Here you go. So I like this, and I've made pretty good progress on it. It's a little over 2,000 stitches in total, and I have about 500 left. I've been kind of grinding on this because it's just so, these clouds are chunky. They are really big. And it's just a lot of fill-in, and at least with the strawberry, I was like, I'm obsessed with this color red. I was stitching it on the beach, which was lovely. This is really my, like, I don't care what happens to this project. Like, you can see, I literally spilled ink on the thread, and, like, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can literally see there's, like, a darker spot because I spilled ink on the thread and was like, whatever, I'm just using it. I've like taken it to the beach. The threads have all gotten wet. So this is one that I'm not like too precious with because it's like a pretty simple design. And honestly, it's not hugely something that I would go for. It's a lot of pink. There's like pink sparkles around it too. But I really wanted to join the Strawberry Moons out. And I do love the strawberry. And also, I moved into a new place, and I really want to get some cross-stitch on the walls, and my roommate really likes pink. So I was like, well, this has a lot of pink. Maybe I'll just commit to, like, finishing this. So, She hopefully will be done in a week or two, and I'm hoping to have her fully finished. I don't have a ton of experience fully finishing things. I've really just done hoop finishes, but I think I might try to get like an oval frame for her from like Thrifted or maybe Michael's, depending on what they have. We'll see. So then I can put it in my apartment because I think it will match my roommate's decor. But yeah, I'm not a huge pink girly otherwise, so those like clouds were sort of killer. I'm very happy to be, I'm not completely done with them, but I literally only have like 50 stitches left. I just ran out of thread. Okay, my last start you haven't seen, even though I literally didn't work on it in July because I lost it. Moving sucks, guys. But I found it, and now I can show you. It is I'll put the picture up. It's Progress Goose by, I think, Fine Frog Stitching. And I just have this little body that I've been working on. This is like 2 days of stitching. It's on this fabric, and the last one were like mystery pieces from Color and Cotton. This yellow I think is 18 count, and the moon I think is on 14 count. Yeah. So I don't have too much like going on with this guy yet, but now that I found him, he's definitely gonna get some more stitches in him for sure, because I think he's just gonna be delightful. Yeah. I hope you guys all have a beverage, by the way. I have iced coffee because I'm tired all the time. Let me just chug that for a second. Try not to get lipstick everywhere. I also have my water bottle. Everyone go get some water. I know we're all dehydrated. I live in Texas, and this is my second year living in Texas. I lived in Savannah before this. Before that, I was like an East Coast girly. Moving to the South has made me a die-hard ice water girly, or like anything iced. I want my iced tea to have so much ice in it. I want I love iced tea. I want that crisp ice water. Everything needs to be cold because I'm hot. Look at that lipstick. I literally have lip stains. I should have worn one. I have like a job interview later for a part-time job, so that's why I'm wearing my work lipstick, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm wearing my work bra. So, figured I'd take advantage. Next up, we know her, we love her. It is, oh, my earring was on the needle minder. I might wear these to the interview. It is Capybara Tea Time by NeedleLotDesigns. I don't know why I get them mixed up. This is what she looks like. She has so much progress. It's crazy. I clearly like put in a bunch of stitches above the water line, and I've started like extending the capybara. I also filled in a bit of the green. No, I didn't. I think I did some down here, and then I started on this flower over here. I think I filled in some more of the orange. It looks so good. Yeah. I'll go over it more in plans, but I have worked out the stitches I need to have this done by the end of the year, and that's a huge goal of mine. But very doable, I think. Yeah, I just love the shading, the color choices. Like, a design like this is where I'm like, yeah, I could never, like, the color theory involved in this, and this is just like a capybara sitting in a teacup, but she's like, I'm so impressed by cross-stitch designers. Like, I tried to design a cross-stitch of my own just for fun, and I was like, this is why, like, we pay for patterns. I'm really excited about her, and I think it will be such a fun addition to my wall. Sometimes I like to watch videos of capybaras and spas and cry. Speaking of my name, the Blue Box Stitcher, I was emotionally destroyed when Rose leaves. And my friend literally put on like capybaras in a spa to like help me like realign, and I started sobbing and had to go like sob in the bathroom because it was too much. Like Rose leaving and then the capybaras with their little oranges. It was too much for me. So, speaking of Doctor Who, actually this is a very good intro for my next piece. I have finally put in some work on my Doctor Who sampler. It's Doctor Who Pillow Sampler by Cloud Factory. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not making this into a pillow. Anyone who cross stitches pillows for people to sit on, that's crazy. I would kill you if you did that to my cross stitch. But yes, this is what she looks like now. So if you remember what she looked like in my whip parade, basically what I did is I did this TARDIS. I actually had to frog out some of this because it was wrong, and so I frogged out some of this, and then I did this little TARDIS, which is so cute, and it's so exciting to have something that's like actually Doctor Who on it and not just like I do enjoy the squiggles, but this is very exciting. And then I did this motif here, which I thought was really pretty, and then this one, and then I did a bit more of the blue in here, and right here a rose starts, and that's like chunky, and I hate the motion I just made with my hands, but it's chunky, and I think that will be like really satisfying to stitch, and it will be like very dense, and I'll be able to kind of just like whip at it, you know. And yeah, I had been just like not feeling motivated to work on this, and I think one thing that like you should always remember with your cross stitch is if something's not working for you, then like change what you're doing. It's a hobby. It's not a job. You have free will. Free will. And so what I had started this year, I started this around my birthday, and I had started it by being like, I want to do a Doctor Who a rewatch, and I'll stitch this while I rewatch Doctor Who. But the thing is like my desire to rewatch Doctor Who and my desire to stitch don't always like align. I don't really like stitch to a lot of TV, I've realized, like at all. I don't watch a lot of TV in general, and it's not like something that I have on in the background a lot, because I'm normally watching it on my laptop. I don't have a TV in my room. I have one in the living room, and so I've started enjoying like putting Flosstube on the TV and stitching, but I just like don't stitch and watch TV that much, and it was bumming me out because I was like, well, I'm not watching Doctor Who and I'm not stitching, and then I was getting stressed out, and doubly made me not want to do either. So I just decided, you know what, that's not working for me. I'm just gonna stitch on this when I want to stitch on it, and go from there. I also made like a stitchy spot. This is my new stitchy spot. It has this like egregiously comfy couch. I think this, not to get on a tangent here, I think the setup is so funny because I really wanted my walls to be like beautiful and like full in the background. But the thing is, like, some of my art is now in the living room that I own, that I used to have on my wall behind me. So then I like put up these pennants. You can like only see one for the Montreal Expos, which hasn't existed in like 30 years, 25 years. And then over here, I was literally gonna put a shelf, that had all my Doctor Who stuff on it, and right here is a giant hole in the wall because I don't know how to put up floating shelves. And drywall anchors are now a thing that I know about. Didn't use them right, I tell you that much. Don't get floating shelves from Target. So, remains to be seen if I will attempt the floating shelf or just put up other stuff there. I don't know. And so then, like, you know, already this like background that I envisioned for my videos is not coming to fruition. And then I also have this blanket here, which I think is so funny. It's a tortilla. My brother got it for me for Christmas because he knows that I love tacos since I moved to Austin. It's literally a tortilla. And it's like the coziest blanket I own. I love it. So it has to be in my stitching spot. But I think it's so funny because I literally just watched Crafting Gaming Jamie's video where she's like talking, and all of her comments are talking about this gorgeous blanket that she has in the background that's like white with roses on the end. And she clearly made it. Like, she clearly knit it. And I'm over here with my tortilla blanket. What are you gonna do? You know, different strokes for different folks. That's my Doctor Who set. Oh, and the flosses are from Gentle Arts, I think. And I really like the way they're turning out. My last project is, obviously, what is it gonna be, guys? It's gonna be the 2024 Stitch for Pride. And I have a little bit more progress than I had in my Woo Parade. Unfortunately, there's been a visit to the swamp, if you will. There's cat hair on this. How is there even cat hair on this? I don't let the cats in my room. My roommate has cats. I would let the cats in my room, but I am allergic. This is the new motif. You've seen these three guys many times. This is the new one. I literally saw Cross Stitch the Globe be like, yeah, this one was fiddly to stitch. And I was like, I guess. I've had to frog it like 3 times. So it's actually still not correct, but I refuse to frog it again. I'm using this Sulky for the first time. It's Sulky 12 late, and then their variegateds are called Blendables. And I really like it. Like, I do like the floss lot. I love the way it looks on the fabric. I think it's the right choice for this motif. However, I'm ready for this motif to be over. Yeah. I typically do the learning when I finish the motif, so that it's like fresh. So I don't have the learning yet for this guy, but hopefully he will be done soon. I'm just very frustrated with all the frogging. It's getting really annoying. I'm ready to move on. And then next, I'm like for sure doing, and then also because he is incorrect, I can't stitch off of this. And so what I'm gonna do is stitch the sriracha bottle, which goes like right here, and then I can stitch off these 3 guys, and then there's some arrows here that I can stitch off of the surrounding stitches, and then I can go back to over here and finally like have my full dimensions of the project. But yeah, one last look. This is the part where I just completely messed up. Yeah. So that's what I've been working on. I've been really enjoying keeping projects out for like slightly longer than I have in the past. Like with the Doctor Who sampler, I will normally like pull it out for like a day and then I'll go work on something else. And this time I was like, I really want to make, like, doing my Whip Parade was really nice because it made me be like, well, I really want to stitch on this. I want to see more progress on this. And so I like had it out for like 5 days and I was like, I don't want to put it down until I get to 500 stitches, which I didn't. And I didn't necessarily like be like, okay, well, everything I work on has to get 500 stitches, but I do think having things out for like a slightly more extended time, like instead of just like flitting from one project to the next like day by day, I enjoy I think I want to continue kind of having them out for like 3, 4, 5 days at a time. Yeah. That brings us pretty neatly into plans. I have thought a lot about the rest of the year and what that looks like. I'd wanted to do kind of a dedicated video on it, but obviously my June and July was kind of crazy, so I didn't. But I do have some goals. And my 2 deadlines, I've come up with 2 deadlines. If you'll recall, at the beginning of the year, I said I didn't want any plans, just vibes. But I am at my core planner. And so I decided to kind of split it, like split the difference and pick a couple deadlines for a couple of my projects, but have, you know, most of them be sort of free floating, whenever. The first one is Stitch for Pride. I have been sort of battling what to do because I did start the year kind of wanting to do that, finish Stitch for Pride in 2025 because it's 2024 Stitch for Pride, so it's already a year late. And I kind of wanted to have this big cross stitch piece on my walls. It doesn't, I would say I'm much more of a process stitcher rather than a progress stitcher at this point, which is shocking. That's really not in my nature in like anything else in life, but in this it kind of is. And it, in some ways, like it kind of has to be, because I have certainly increased my stitch rate since I started stitching. And even since the beginning of this year, when I really started to stitch much more seriously, started a Flosstube. But at the end of the day, it's a slow hobby. And there are Flosstubers on here who get quite a lot of stitching done every day. But they don't have that many finishes either because they're starting more projects. And so, you know, you can be a process versus a progress stitcher, but at the end of the day, the thing that I sort of like about cross stitch is that it forces you to slow down, because it's slow. It's just time consuming. It's like really one of the most time consuming hobbies you can have, which is one of the reasons that I don't feel super inclined to start other hobbies, because I'm like, Minecraft time has to be dedicated to this. So yeah, so that's one of the things I like about it. However, I love cross stitch so much and it's really a big part of my life, and I'm like, you wouldn't know that, like looking in my apartment, at my room, because I don't have any cross stitch on the walls, because like I had said, in 2024 pretty much everything I stitched was a gift, and I'm not really doing gift stitching anymore except for by the sea and the shore, which I think I'm gonna have so much fun stitching, like it's not even gonna count really. But it does sort of irk me that there's not cross stitch on my wall. Like you wouldn't know coming into my space that I cross stitch a lot. So I'd wanted this big cross stitch piece on my wall. However, like I talked about in my whip parade, you know, tastes change. And I'm not sure I would have done it on black fabric if I started it now. With that being said, I have picked, and so I've been sort of like grappling with what I want to do with it. Do I want to put it away for now? But it's really one of the projects that I have the most progress on and I've been working on. Waffled back and forth, and I've come up with my deadline, which is I want to finish it June 2026. I want to finish it in Pride next year. Whether that's like the 1st of June or the 30th is sort of up to me. I don't have like a date in mind. I want to finish it June 2026. So I'm giving myself an extra 6 months to work on it. So that way it doesn't have to be like my sole focus, especially because I'm obviously pretty behind. Because you're supposed to do one a month, and we're on month 8, and I'm 3.5 down. So I am going to start having it, you know, more as like part of my daily rotation. I do want to I've decided I'm gonna sit down and do it. And I think in the end, I'm gonna like it. That's what I've chosen to believe, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've chosen to believe that I will like it and I will want it on my wall. And it will be exciting, and it will be really nice to finish it during Pride. And giving myself a little bit of grace and having it done, giving myself an extra 6 months, I think will just make it a lot less stressful. So that's my major deadline. My next one is, like I said, I want to finish Capybara Tea Time by the end of the year. So that means that I need to do roughly 500 stitches on it every month till the end of the year. I think that's very doable. I did 500 in July, and I either see a scenario in which I very much do that, 500 stitches, and at, December 30th, she's done. Or like in October or November, I see how close I am to the finish line, and I just like power down, like grind and finish it. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. Those are my two major deadlines. I have some smalls floating around, like Strawberry Moon, and I would like to sort of clear the roster on my smalls by the end of the year. If part of me is like, I want to dedicate August to finishing smalls, the other part of me is like, there's no way you'll feel motivated to do that. But like when I finish Strawberry Moon, I want to finish Progress Goose, and then when I finish that, I'd like to finish this tulip that I have, just so that I can like start small things next year on a clean slate. And then I'll be able to put those smalls on my wall. So that's kind of my plans. And then next year, I think what I'm going to do, it's going to sort of align with the next year, but this is sort of my plan going forward, is I'm going to have like a select number of projects that I'm going to start throughout the year that I'm going to pick sort of at the beginning of the year. Like I kind of liked how I did that this year, even though I obviously started a lot of other things. I liked that I had set projects to start and set dates. Starting things can be like a little overwhelming for me. So like for the rest of the year, I have 2 starts planned. One is a recent plan. The other one I had in my 2025 plans video. And I feel good about that. And so I'm going to pare it down a little bit. I'm going to have like 3 big starts next year. And then my rule is going to be, if I want to start anything else, I have to finish something. It doesn't have to be of equal size, but it has to be something. That's what I'm thinking. Life. Small life update, I guess. I think I mentioned this in my whip rate, but I had gallbladder surgery. Pretty much, it was either like, I think it was like the next day after my last Flosstube. It was either the next day or the following day. I woke up in the middle of the night with like, I woke up and I was just I woke up to go to the bathroom, and then I couldn't fall back asleep. I was super uncomfortable, and then I started having these like crazy pains in my side. And it's crazy because I had just watched the 2 Martini Stitcher, who was talking about gallbladder attacks, which is something I had never heard of before. And then like a week later, this started happening to me, and I was kind of like, I wonder if this is what she was talking about. But I really had no idea what was going on. I ended up going to urgent care. They sent me to the ER. A week later, I had the sucker taken out. This also happened at the same time that I was moving, which was not fun for me or my poor mother, who flew out to help me with my surgery and had to move everything out of my former house into a storage unit while I was drugged up in bed watching The Librarians. So then then I went home to DC to recuperate for a while, and then when I got back, I had to take everything out of the storage unit and put it into my new apartment. And that's how I lost some of my cross stitch. But it's been found, thankfully. I'm like pretty much fine now. I've noticed that I like can't drink coffee on an empty stomach anymore. Which is like probably for the best, but like slightly annoying. And yeah, we're just like white knuckling it a little bit through summer, if I'm honest. I think Like, that sounds dire, but I'm sort of like, aren't we all, you know? Like, I live in Texas. God only knows what they're doing down there at the Capitol. Actually, not God only, sorry. You should, like, educate yourself on what's going on. I do know what's going down at the Capitol, and I don't like it. Yeah. Just, yeah. It's a weird time, and it's a weird year. And that really just, like, made a weird year even crazier. But, like, overall, it was fine, I guess. It was very, like, cut and dry, you know? This is happening to you. You shouldn't have eaten that shrimp burrito. This is what you do. So that's what I did. I got my gallbladder removed, and it was mostly fine. Just really annoying and painful. What have I been reading, watching, and playing? I have been reading a lot. I'll just go through, like, the high notes, though. I don't want to go through, like, every book, but I read Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I think I heard about from Crafting Gamey Jamie, and my hold finally came through from the library. So good. Would recommend. Like, it is so good. I read Autocracy Inc., which was really good. It is by, like, a woman who does, like, political science, and I think her name is Anne Applebaum, and it's very small. It's very short. And to me, it's very, like, it's funny because I read the book and I was feeling very inspired by it. It's about how autocracies and dictatorships and fascists around the world, like, work together. They're not, like, isolated entities anymore. It's, like, a concerted effort worldwide to support each other, and evade sanctions and kind of turn popular sentiment in non-dictatorships to their side. And I read a lot of reviews saying that they felt like it was really depressing, which I thought was so interesting because I thought I found it almost inspiring, because I think in order to solve a problem, like, you kind of have to understand it. And for the first time, I felt like I kind of got it. Like, I found it sort of, I don't want to say, like, relaxing. Relaxing is not the right word. I found it, like, her whole point is this is not, like, no political system is inherent, not even, like, democracy. Everything is a choice. And, like, people are making choices and doing things on purpose to make us feel like we have no choice. And that made me feel like it's not just inevitable. Like, it's not, yeah, obviously you feel hopeless and confused and crazy. They're trying to do that. That's on purpose. And so to me, it felt validating, I guess, is kind of the word. And it's like, it's not just a thing that's happening, it's a thing that they are doing on purpose. And now that I know that it's okay that I feel crazy, because they're trying to make me feel crazy. Now that I know that they're trying to make me feel crazy, I don't have to feel crazy anymore. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's what I got from it. I would recommend, like any books, it's gonna have some sort of bias, and I do think there is a bias, particularly towards, in a couple of examples, Israel, and kind of an American bias in general, neoliberal bias, but in general, I found it to be really good. Another hard left, I finished Emily Wilde's series. It's, like, written by Heather Fawcett, I think, and it starts with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and then it's Map of the Otherlands, and then the last one is Compendium of Lost Tales. It's a trilogy. I would highly recommend it. It's part of this like genre that I did not know existed, but someone named on Reddit. So I don't know if it's like an official genre or not, but it's basically like capable woman genre. And it's like your main character knows her shit, knows what she's doing, is on top of it. Like maybe is a mess in other areas of her life, but by God, she's good at her job. And like, I love that. That's what I want out of my books from now on. And yeah, so good. Would recommend. Just like incredible. I'm obsessed. I have a Storygraph that I link below if you want to see like everything else I'm reading. Would recommend. I like really like Storygraph. It's not super user friendly, to be honest, but I like that it's not affiliated with Amazon, which Goodreads is, and you can import your Goodreads to Storygraph, because I know like I started with Goodreads, and yeah, I really like Storygraph. They do a lot more stats, so you can like look at your own personal reading journey, and you can track like they'll give you like an automatic pie chart for like digital versus physical copies, which is something that I really like, because that's something that I like to keep track of, because I want to make sure that I'm reading the books I like physically own, as well as my like I get books off Libby a lot and I put them on my Kindle. Really the best thing for my reading that I've discovered is I think a lot of people don't like Libby because they don't want to read ebooks, and I don't want to read on my phone or my laptop, but I realized that like reading on a Kindle feels like a good middle area for me, where I can put a library book on it, and it's really small and slim, and so it's easy to read at work. And it's just like a little less clunky than like carrying around a book, or like going to the library and getting a book. But it doesn't feel like I'm necessarily having like screen time, especially because I realized my Kindle's from 2013. So like I said, I don't buy things from Amazon anymore, but when I was 13, I had a Kindle, and so I found it at home, and I guess these things are like indestructible because it still works perfectly, and I literally don't order anything from Amazon. I just use my mom's Amazon account, because unfortunately she is a voracious Kindle edition, like reading on the iPad. She has that like a Kindle Unlimited. She's obsessed with Kindle Unlimited, and so I put her account on the Kindle and I attached it to my Libby, and I literally just like send my library books over to my Kindle, and I don't interact with Amazon in any way, and it's great. And my mom Loki hates it because now all of her Amazon recommendations are messed up, because I like have been reading a lot of fantasy this year, and she's like, why are all these fantasy books getting recommended to me? And I'm like, it's not my fault, Amazon's reading my data. So I've been having a really good time with that. Would recommend. And you can get Kindles like on Facebook. Like you can get them secondhand. Like you do not need to like enter the Amazon ecosystem to get one. Or I don't know, like Libby has a specific thing where it's like send to Kindle. I don't know if you got like a Kobo, like a non-Amazon e-reader, if you'd be able to do the same thing or not. That's beyond my knowledge, but I'm sure you could Google it. Reading, watching. I started Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is so good. I know I'm like fully behind I'm so behind. But I did have to borrow my friend's Apple TV account to watch it. But I love it. I work in sports, and watching Ted Lasso is like really funny. I feel like every time you talk about Ted Lasso, everyone's like, it's okay, it's not that much about the soccer. And I'm like, no, I want it to be more about the soccer. I loved the first season because it was all about the soccer. But yeah, I just really like it. I think it's just incredibly well done. It's very like cozy, except when Ted's crashing out. Then it's a little less cozy. But that's like mainly what I've been watching. I have been watching The Librarians, which I watched a long time ago in like middle school or high school, and then they just came out with like a sequel, I guess. And so I wanted to watch the original before I watched the sequel, and I'm on season 4 now, I think. And I watched the first 3 seasons with my mom when I was recovering from surgery, which was so much fun. The Librarians is a great show to watch on a lot of pain medication, but also in general. Yeah, great show. And then Bob's Burgers finally had new episodes, so I've been watching those and really loving them. I feel like the first half of this current season was like a little weak, but the second half I really enjoyed. That's really all I've been watching. Like I said, I don't tend to watch a ton of TV. I rewatch a lot of TV. I rewatch a lot of Bob's Burgers. And then there are like a few select shows that I get really into. Like I'm so excited for Delicious in Dungeon season 2 that I might have to rewatch season 1. And I've been like I have been watching some anime, which I watched a lot in like middle school. I don't know like what I was thinking though, because I like watched this show a couple months ago that I was really enjoying, and I just turned it on again and I started watching like the movie. I don't know if the movie's like different than the show or whatever, but I was like, this is bad. I don't know what 2 months ago Catherine was thinking. Yeah, in terms of playing, always on my Stardew grind. I also just recently picked up Pokemon again. I have Pokemon Scarlet. I've had it for a while, and Pokemon Scarlet is like not my favorite Pokemon game. I don't know if it's just like nostalgia or they were better. I think they were, to be honest. I just feel like the DS games were better. I don't know if I love like the open world for Pokemon. I just feel like it's so like, you know, going through the gyms and like leveling up. I like that formula. There's no need to mess with that. And the storyline's kind of weird, but my coworker was playing Pokemon on our shift the other day on like an emulator, and I was like, I should get that out. And well, really what I want to do is I want to get Pearl for my Switch, because I had Pearl on my DS and I actually never beat it, and it's just like a remake, so I feel like it's gonna have all the charm of like the old Pokemon games. Also, I miss the pixels. I like the pixelated like vibe. I don't know why we got rid of that. But I was like, you should finish the Pokemon game that you have before you get another one. So I'm pulling that baby out. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of it. Yeah. I hope wherever you are, you're staying safe. I hope you're doing as well as you can be in these trying times. And I wish the best for all of you. Bye.